A shy girl, outcasted by her peers and sheltered by her religious mother, unleashes telekinetic terror on her small town after being pushed too far at her senior prom. This is from the 2013 movie Carrie. Warning: spoilers and creepy content ahead. In the opening scene, set in the year 1995, there is the White household where we hear Margaret White screaming in pain. The shot pans the upstairs floor where Margaret is crying out to God in agony. We see a puddle of water that has splattered a Bible and numerous droplets of blood. Margaret is writhing on the bed in agony, thinking she has been afflicted with a cancer, and begs for God's mercy as she is taken. Her body contorts a few times as she screams and she looks up waiting to die. But she doesn't. She looks between her legs and finds a baby. She had been pregnant and didn't know it. Margaret nods. "It's a test," she says, and reaches for scissors, ready to slay her newborn daughter. She almost stabs the baby, when something stops her at the last second. She puts the scissors down and cradles her newborn daughter. Cut to present day. Carrie White, now age 17 or 18, is a meek, shy young girl at her high school located in the small town of Castle Rock, Maine. Considered an outcast by everyone, she sneaks into the background hoping she will not be noticed. During PE class, during the gym game of water volleyball, the ball lands in front of her and she is asked to serve the ball. She accidentally hits Sue Snell in the head, which makes everyone, including Carrie, laugh. Sue's friend, Chris Hargensen, tells Carrie, "You eat shit," so everyone starts laughing at her instead. After gym, Carrie starts to take a shower alone when she notices blood. She races to the girls for help, not understanding what is going on. The girls, led by Chris, realize Carrie is having her first period and doesn't understand it. Instead of helping, they throw tampons at her and chant, "Plug it up." Chris even films it on her iPhone. Even Sue joins in with the chanting and taunting, but stops halfway through, ashamed of what she is doing. The gym teacher, Ms. Desjardins, overhears them and, in an effort to calm her down, slaps Carrie to keep her from screaming. Ms. Desjardins yells for everyone to get out. As the girls file out, a light shatters. Sue looks at Carrie with deep regret and guilt. Carrie is taken to the principal's office with Ms. Desjardins as they try to explain what has happened, with the principal, Henry Grail, severely uncomfortable with it. He tells Ms. Desjardins to handle the punishment of the girls that participated in the incident. The principal and Ms. Desjardins tell Carrie that they have called her mother to pick her up. Carrie goes completely white, begging them not to call her mom. Principal Grail says they know the school has problems with her mother since the state disallowed her mother to homeschool Carrie, but Ms. Desjardins reassures her and says it will be okay. Carrie starts hyperventilating and a nearby water cooler shatters. Carrie leaves the office. Margaret comes to pick up Carrie. Nearby, Sue, Chris, and her rough boyfriend Billy Nolan sit. Chris shows everyone the video of Carrie, who sees what Chris and the others are doing. Sue looks on at Carrie, and her face betrays more guilt. On the way home, Carrie apologizes to her mother for making her come to school. When they get home, Carrie wants to talk to Margaret about why she didn't explain to her about her period. "I thought I was dying," Carrie says. Margaret is evasive and tells her to come inside. Carrie tells her mother she won't. She wants to talk about what happened. As Carrie sits in the car, a local boy rides around it on his bicycle and calls her Crazy Carrie. Carrie apparently uses her powers to make him fall off his bike, which scares him into fleeing. Inside the house, Carrie finds her mother banging her head on the wall. Carrie tells her to stop and just talk to her. Margaret, however, is more concerned with praying for forgiveness and creates her own Bible verses on a whim to suit her needs. Carrie recognizes these verses are not even real Bible verses and objects to her mother's prayers, but Margaret knocks her in the head with a Bible. As their argument heads downstairs to the kitchen, Margaret calls her a sinner. "I did not sin," Carrie says. Margaret opens the prayer closet and tells Carrie to get in. Carrie refuses, so her mother throws her in and latches the door, telling her to pray for forgiveness. Carrie bangs on the door, begging to be let out. "God, you son of a bitch!" Carrie screams, and then suddenly a crack is formed through the middle of the door to both their surprise. Carrie looks at a sculpture hanging on the wall of Jesus nailed to the cross. It begins to bleed to her horror. At the same time, Chris and Billy, along with another girlfriend, named Tina, hang out at her house. Chris is unrepentant about what she has done, and on a whim, decides to upload the video to YouTube, humiliating Carrie even further. Back at the White household, Margaret is making clothes and singing Bible songs. She wakes her up and asks if she said her prayers. Carrie says yes, and Margaret becomes a loving mother again. They exchange "I love yous." The next day, Ms. Desjardins lays down the law with Chris, Sue, and all the other girls that participated in Carrie's shaming. Ms. Desjardins asks about Chris and Sue's dates for the prom and tells Sue she would have voted her prom queen but not anymore. Ms. Desjardins tells them it was a very shitty thing they did to Carrie and they are going to pay for it. She also mentions that apparently someone took a video of the incident, looking at Chris as she is pretty sure that she is the one who did it. They will be doing suicide sprints after school for a week. Anyone who refuses the punishment is suspended and cannot go to prom. While you run, I want you to think long and hard about what it would be like to be Carrie White, Ms. Desjardins says. After a while, Chris calls bullshit on the whole punishment, saying Ms. Desjardins can't do it. Sue tries to tell her to take the punishment and let it go, but she won't. Chris refuses, so Ms. Desjardins suspends her and revokes her prom privileges. Chris says Ms. Desjardins can't take away prom from her and tries to rally the other girls to go with her. One by one, they refuse, including Sue, the only one who shows any true remorse. They continue to run while Chris screams, "This is not over." Meanwhile, everyone snickers at Carrie, having seen the video. As Carrie walks down the hall, humiliated, she stares in disgust at graffiti that someone has sprayed across a bank of lockers saying, "Carrie White eats shit." She goes in the bathroom and concentrates on the mirror. After a moment, she's able to smash it to her shock. Looking at the pieces, she makes them levitate for a moment until another girl shows up. Carrie grabs her bag and leaves. Carrie goes to the library and looks to the web and numerous books about telekinesis. After seeing a video about telekinesis, she decides to test her own abilities with it in subtle ways. In class, Carrie looks at the flag outside the window and makes it move. She smiles with a sense of accomplishment. Carrie is called to the front of the class and reads a favorite poem. It is quite dark, but well written, and people pay attention to her. The teacher, Mr. Ullman, is amazed she has talked at all, and asked if she has something else to say after scaring the classroom. "You asshole," Tommy mutters under his breath. The teacher asks what he said. Tommy said the poem was awesome and asks the teacher if he thought the same thing. Carrie looks at Tommy shyly and smiles. Meanwhile, Margaret is seen working at a dry cleaner/seamstress store. Someone calls out for help and it turns out to be Eleanor Snell, Sue's mother. She is picking up Sue's prom dress. Mrs. Snell tries to apologize for Sue's behavior and commends Margaret on the work she did. Meanwhile, Margaret is cutting herself on the leg with a needle, making herself bleed. "These are godless times," Margaret says before returning to her work. Chris gets a meeting with Ms. Desjardins and Principal Grail with her arrogant lawyer father to try and overturn her suspension and revoked prom privileges. Chris tries to play the victim, but Ms. Desjardins plays better hardball than her, saying there was a video uploaded and if Chris just proves it isn't on her phone, then she will get an apology and be allowed to go to prom. Her father tells her to give up the phone, but Chris refuses to and storms out, thus indirectly admitting her complicity and making sure her suspension and punishment stay active. Sue and the prom committee work on turning the gymnasium into the prom. Chris storms in, angrily telling her friends that she is banned from prom, and asks why the girls didn't back her up. She then asks why Sue didn't. Sue says because she deserved the punishment. They all did. Ms. Desjardins was right. They did a shitty thing to Carrie. Chris balks and says Carrie deserved it. "What has Carrie White ever done to you?" Sue asks her soon-to-be former friend. Chris tells Sue that she is not being high and mighty because she feels bad. It's because she wants to go to prom with Tommy then have sex with him in the hotel she already booked. "You don't give a shit about Carrie White," Chris sneers, leaving. We see Sue at home, looking at her prom dress lovingly. Back at the White household, Carrie is in her room making books move, testing her powers. She eventually makes several levitate, including her bed. Margaret hears the noise and takes a butcher knife to investigate. When she gets to Carrie's room, Carrie has fooled her, turning out the lights. Margaret puts the knife down and says she will never let anyone hurt her little girl. Carrie then accidentally causes the knife to stick into the floor, shocking Margaret. The next day, Sue watches Tommy play lacrosse. Sue comes up to Tommy and asks for a favor. She wants him to take Carrie to the prom. Tommy is shocked, saying he wants to take her, but Sue wants to do something to make up for the humiliation Carrie was put through. "I'm trying to fix what I did," she says. Tommy tries to convince her, but Sue says she can't go and begs him to help her make things right. Tommy finds Carrie at lunch and shocks her by talking to her. Tommy asks her about prom and if she would like to go with him. Carrie runs off without responding. Tommy tracks her down and asks again, but Carrie thinks it is a joke. "Stop trying to trick me," Carrie says. "I'm not," Tommy replies. Carrie doesn't believe him, however, and runs off. Carrie is crying in the locker room and is discovered by Ms. Desjardins. Ms. Desjardins thinks the girls did something again, but Carrie says she got invited to prom. Ms. Desjardins says that's a happy thing and asks who asked her. Carrie says Tommy Ross. Ms. Desjardins, realizing something is up, stays neutral, saying he is a cute boy. Carrie says she knows he dates Sue Snell and thinks this a big joke to him. "They're going to trick me again," Carrie says. Ms. Desjardins says maybe not. Carrie ponders why Tommy would want to go with her. Ms. Desjardins directs Carrie to the mirror, telling her she sees a beautiful girl and with the right dress and the tiniest dash of makeup she can stun everyone speechless. Ms. Desjardins confronts Sue and Tommy, thinking they are planning something. "If the two of you are planning some kind of joke on a poor, lonely, defenseless girl," Ms. Desjardins warns them. However, Sue says she is trying to do a good thing for Carrie, allow her one good night and a chance to be social. Tommy says it doesn't matter since Carrie said no, but Sue tells him to try again. Ms. Desjardins tries to appeal to Tommy saying he will look ridiculous with Carrie on his arm, but Sue says this is a private matter and they don't care how they look doing it. Tommy drives over to Carrie's house and tells her he is not leaving till she says yes to prom. Fearful her mother will see them, Carrie says yes but that she will have to be home by 10:30 p.m. Tommy says he will pick her up at 7 p.m. Carrie smiles. Carrie goes into town and sees a dress shop. She looks at one in the storefront and her body reflected onto it. Going inside, she sees that they are too pricey for what she can afford. She sees some fabric and stares at awe at the potential. From across the street, Chris and her friends see Carrie at the store and Chris seethes in rage. It is at this time that Chris begins to plot revenge against Carrie for what Chris sees as getting her banned from prom, and apparently enlists the help of her friends Tina, twins Nikki and Lizzie, and Heather. That evening, Carrie walks home seeing her mom waiting for her in the front yard. Margaret is livid since she didn't know where she was. Carrie says she went into town to buy fabric to make herself a gown. Margaret says she is not allowed to go anywhere but school and home. Carrie then tells her the news. She's been asked to prom. Carrie tells her that she knows she is scared and she is too. However, the kids laugh at her and think she is weird. She doesn't want to be weird. She wants to be normal and thinks prom may be her final chance. I have to try and be a whole person before it is too late, Carrie says. Margaret is livid and tells her to go to her closet and repent before it is too late. Carrie asks why she can't be happy for her. But the insane Margaret refuses to listen and orders Carrie to go to her closet. Carrie then has an episode and makes everything in the living room jump up. Margaret falls to the floor in shock and starts to pray. Carrie tells her mom to get up and when she doesn't, she raises her with her powers. Margaret calls Carrie a devil, but Carrie says she has powers and others have them too. Carrie states that her grandmother may have had them and it's possible that they skipped a generation to Carrie. Carrie places her mother down and her mother says she thought she was a Cancer when she was born. Carrie tells her that is a horrible thing to say and levitates her again. She tells her she is going to prom, she will not stop her, and they are not talking about it anymore. Carrie then releases her. Meanwhile, Chris, Billy and a few others are at a pig farm. Billy callously crushes a pig's head and Chris slits the throat to collect the blood. The next day, Sue is working on the prom decorations when she feels sick. She runs to the bathroom and throws up. Shock hits her face. She thinks she is pregnant. We see Carrie make her prom dress. Chris and Billy break into the gymnasium and rig the pail with the pig blood. Billy tells Chris she can drop it on Carrie, and Chris states she has every intention of doing so. Sue puts her dress away, committing to her decision. We see a montage of the students get ready and dressed for prom. We see Carrie put her dress on and apply some light makeup. She has fully transformed herself into the beautiful woman she was meant to be. Margaret tells her she looks like a deviant. Carrie, having enough of her mother's overly religious quotes, asks that for once that her mom could be happy for her. Margaret says they are going to laugh at her, but Carrie says to stop it. Tommy is a nice boy and everything is going to be fine. As Tommy shows up, Margaret tells her daughter that she was conceived by what was basically marital rape and how she tried to kill her as a baby. Carrie, finally losing all her patience, force chokes her mom. There will be a judgment, Carrie, Margaret says. Carrie opens the closet and locks her mother in with her powers, saying she will be back at 10:30 p.m. as promised. She then melts the door lock so her mother can't get out. Carrie goes outside to meet Tommy. Do I look okay? Carrie asks. You look beautiful, Tommy says, meaning it. They drive to prom in a limo. Carrie requests a moment, thinking about the other students. Tommy tells her despite what she thinks they aren't all bad. Calming her down, they go in where she is introduced to Tommy's best friend and his girlfriend, who goes to another school. The other girl compliments Carrie on her dress, and is pleasantly surprised to find out that Carrie made it herself. Carrie begins to loosen up. Tommy asks if she wants to dance but they agree to wait till a slow one comes on, after Carrie sees some wild dance moves from another student and isn't sure what to make of them. Ms. Desjardins sees Carrie and tells her how beautiful she looks. While they talk, Tommy texts Sue, telling her that everything is okay, Carrie is enjoying herself and that he misses her. Sue smiles, content that she is making it right. A slow song comes on and Tommy convinces Carrie to dance with him. He teaches her how to slow dance and she quickly learns. Carrie puts her head on his shoulder then backs away. Something crosses Tommy's face when that happens. While he is still obviously loyal to Sue, he is starting to grow some feelings for Carrie due to her being such a sweet person. Carrie, still unsure about his intentions, asks why he asked her to prom. Tommy says that he wanted to, and is having a good time with her and hopes she is feeling the same way. Carrie nods yes. Tommy then says they will enjoy their time here, then they can go to an after party and he will have back home on time. Carrie smiles, agrees, and notes that she can maybe stay out till 11. Thanks to Chris's friend Tina, Billy and Chris break into the prom and sit in the rafters waiting. They hand off ballots to Tina's date, Greg DeLois, who switches them out to rig the prom king and queen election to ensure Carrie and Tommy are elected. The voting for prom king and queen begins. Carrie questions voting for herself, but Tommy tells her there isn't much to it, and she should have one chance to be in the spotlight. Carrie notes that the crowns are beautiful. The devil with false modesty, Tommy says. Carrie is convinced, so they vote for themselves. Meanwhile, Chris's friends switch out the ballots to rig them in Tommy and Carrie's favor. Chris texts on her cell phone to Sue while Sue is getting out of the shower. She says, "Your girl looks good." She won't for long. Horror washes over Sue's face. She knew Chris was vindictive, but not to this extent. Sue realizes that Chris has planned something horrifying to humiliate Carrie, and races to prom to try to stop her. Billy reminds her that what they are doing is criminal assault, and they need to flee the second they are done. Meanwhile, Sue gets to the building but can't get in. She sees someone open the door and sneaks in. The ballots are counted. Tommy and Carrie win. Carrie is stunned but happy. They walk up to the podium with everyone applauding. Ms. Desjardins, Mr. Ullman, and Principal Grail are especially happy for Carrie, glad to see that she has finally got her moment in the sun. Sue looks around and sees Chris in the rafters. Chris sees Sue looking at her. She hesitates momentarily, but Billy goads her on to pull the rope. Ms. Desjardins sees Sue and misconstrues her reasons for being there and throws her out of the building without hearing her warning. Although the rope jams and forces Chris to pull on it several times, it eventually gives way and the pig blood cascades down and drowns Carrie in it. Complete and utter silence follows. What the hell? Tommy yells at everyone, having and wanting no part in this unbelievable act of cruelty. Chris has hacked the video monitors, and using her iPhone, plays Carrie's period video. Most of the class laughs, but Ms. Desjardins, along with a few others, are in complete shock. Ms. Desjardins goes to Carrie, but Carrie pushes her back with her powers, startling everyone. Chris and Billy rig the rope and begin to flee, but Chris wants to stick around and see Carrie squirm. The rope, however, gives way and the pail that held the blood cracks Tommy on the back of the head, killing him instantly. Carrie turns back around and cradles his head in her lap, absolutely devastated that the only boy that ever treated her kindly has been killed. Carrie looks up in the rafters and recognizes Billy's sunglasses. She knows who is responsible. Something snaps in her mind. She turns to the guests, as the blood on her body starts to levitate off it. A few see this and try to flee in horror, but it is no use. Carrie finally loses control and violently pushes the entire crowd back, people hitting tables and each other. She then slams all the doors of the gym shut and locks them, so no one can get out. One of the girls, Heather, is thrown across the room and has her head smashed into a closed door. Tina's date, Greg DeLois, and a few other guys try to escape by climbing the bleachers, but Carrie collapses them, gorily crushing Greg to death. As a boy films her, she throws a table at him, the force of the hit killing him. Carrie then trips the sprinklers, leaving the whole room soaked in water. As she sees the twin girls Nikki and Lizzie, friends of Chris, trying to flee, she pushes them to the ground where they are trampled to death by the fleeing mob. Behind Carrie on the stage, a light fixture drops from the ceiling, touching off a fire on the stage and exposing several live electrical cables. Seeing Chris's friend Tina attempting to escape, Carrie throws a burning decoration at her but misses. Carrie then uses the live electrical cables to torture Tina, driving her back towards a smaller fire burning on the floor. The hem of the dress comes in contact with the fire, and in seconds the flames have engulfed the dress, causing Tina to burn to death. As flames envelop the room, Ms. Desjardins tries to calm Carrie down, but Carrie grabs her in a Darth Vader-like force choke hold and pulls her up, holding her for a moment above the floor that has become electrified as the electrical cables come in contact with the water from the sprinklers. However, her reasoning returns momentarily and she spares Ms. Desjardins, pulling her across to the stage, as she was one of the few people that were ever nice to her. Carrie then levitates herself out of the building as Ms. Desjardins and the few remaining students watch in horror and shock. By now the entire school is in flames. While some escape, many don't. Carrie sees Chris and Billy's red car. Her rage returns. Chris asks Billy what they should do as their little prank is now responsible for at least a dozen deaths. Billy tells her they will leave town and never come back. Chris agrees reluctantly. As they drive off, Carrie is behind them. She stomps the ground and causes it to cave out ahead. Billy turns the car around and speeds back. Chris sees Carrie and despite everything, will not give up her vendetta. Run her down. Kill her. Chris snarls. Billy says he has it under control and charges Carrie. Carrie, however, is waiting for him and stops the car with her power, the force causing Billy to hit the steering wheel hard, breaking his nose, and causing his head to violently snap back and kill him instantly. Chris comes to a few minutes later, and realizes Billy is dead from the impact. She cries, but when she sees Carrie, she reaches for the keys and backs up, still hell-bent on killing her. When she charges again, Carrie pulls the car's back wheels up high in the air, and then throws the vehicle into a gas station pump. The force of the throw causes Chris's face to go through the windshield, making shards of glass embed all around her face. Carrie watches as Chris breathes her last breath. As an extra precaution and because Chris deserved it, Carrie causes a power pole to spark and collapse, igniting the leaking gasoline and causing an explosion that guarantees Billy's and Chris's deaths. Carrie begins to walk home, destroying everything in her path. When she gets inside, she sees her mom had forced a hole from the crack in the door and has escaped from the closet. Carrie calls out to her but gets no response. Her mother is hiding in the shadows. Carrie gets into the bathtub and cleans off all the blood, changing into a blue nightgown. She finds Margaret and tells her she was right about everything. They hug and Margaret suggests they pray. As they pray, Margaret takes her butcher knife and stabs Carrie once in the back. Carrie then pushes her mother back as she falls down the stairs. Their fight continues in the kitchen as Carrie begs her mother to stop what she is doing. "You know a devil never dies. You gotta keep killing it," Margaret says, manic. They struggle and she slices Carrie on the leg and arm. When she tries to stab Carrie in the face, Carrie stops the blade with her powers and then pulls up numerous sharp objects and points them in her mother's direction. Telling her she is sorry, Carrie lets them fly, and they impale her mother to the wall as if in a crucifix-like pose. Carrie, horrified by what she has done, releases the blades that pin her mother to the wall. Margaret dies moments later in Carrie's lap. Carrie cries at the loss. Moments later, Sue arrives at the house. Carrie is angry with her, saying she just killed her mother and she wants her back. "Why couldn't you leave me alone?" Carrie asks. Sue says she tried to help her. Carrie puts Sue in a forced choke hold as the house begins to collapse around them due to her powers becoming uncontrollable. "Don't hurt me, Carrie," Sue pleads. "Why not?" Carrie snarls. Then, Carrie puts Sue down. Sue tries to reach for Carrie so they can escape. Carrie places her hand near Sue's stomach. "It's a girl," Carrie says. Sue looks at her in shock. "You don't know?" Carrie asks. Carrie pushes her out of the house. Sue watches as rocks come out of nowhere and fall directly on the house, collapsing it on itself. Carrie holds her mother and kisses her forehead as the house finally falls down on the both of them. Sue looks on in horror and gingerly touches her stomach. An undisclosed time later, Sue is giving a deposition in front of the whole town. As to her pregnancy subplot, it is very unclear whether Sue is still pregnant or not and/or she kept the baby. The man interviewing her asks if what she saw happen could have been a natural accident. Sue, however, stands by her story. Carrie was just a normal girl with normal hopes and desires like everyone else, and they pushed her, and when people get pushed, eventually they break. They broke Carrie White. We see Sue at the graveyard where Margaret and Carrie are at a joint plot. Someone has spray painted Carrie White is in hell on the gravestone with an arrow pointing down. Even in death, someone still had to be heartless to the poor, lonely girl who only wanted to be accepted. Sue lays a white rose at the grave and leaves. A moment later, a force comes up from the ground, cracking the tombstone down the middle. In the middle, a crater forms in the shape of a heart. Thanks for watching Horror Movie Recap. Subscribe for more videos like this, give us a like to help out, and don't forget to turn on notifications.